Hi, I'm Pam Stevens. I'm a training consultant with PureFUN, and we're going to talk today about what to do with children who struggle with their friends, struggle socially in the classroom. The first thing to remember is that a child who has a hard time dealing with peers is usually has some of the same behaviors every day. You kind of know how he's going to act during center time, during outside time, who he struggles with, what he fights with other kids about, and what's going on. So it's going to be important to stay in close proximity to that child during unstructured times. The times when he's off on his own, able to make choices, because often this is a child who may not make the best choices. Keep in mind, though, you're not in close proximity so that you can quickly react when something goes wrong. You're in close proximity to prevent anything from going wrong. You know these kids, you know this child, and you know how things build, and you can see when things aren't going well, and this is when you intervene to make sure that you can teach the child what he should be doing instead of waiting till he's already messed up. A good thing to do is also, during those times, to arrange buddy time with a compatible peer for that child to play with, so that he can learn some good play skills. We know that some of the kids in our classes do not do well together. Their personalities are such that it doesn't go well at all. But then there are other kids who have a real calming, great effect on other children, and you want to find those compatible peers to help some of our struggling kids. Again, this is not a child who is, so meek or, easily bullied or anything like that. You don't want to take a child who's having a lot of trouble with peers and put him with a child that he can boss around and that will never disagree with him. What you want is a child who has really good, positive, strong social skills that, he knows his own limits and he knows when to say no and will not be bullied, but at the same time will not react badly to the other child. So choose those peers carefully, and it can make a big difference. You need to model center time behavior or play behavior with these kids. Half the time it's just that they don't have any experience. Their play skills are weak and they've never really learned things that come naturally to a whole lot of kids. The sharing and what to do if somebody has something you want or if it's not your turn. The teacher needs to make herself available to be in center time, really playing with children and modeling those great play skills and helping kids come up with solutions when things don't go their way. You want to make sure you give this child some responsibilities in the classroom, especially when, during times of day when he tends to struggle. Giving him something to do makes him feel important, helps to know, for that child to know that they are a valuable part of that classroom and that they have something to contribute. Kids often who have trouble with their peers start to feel like the bad kid, and then they start really living that role, and we don't want that. We want them to know that they're an important part of the classroom, that they can do a lot of really positive things. So giving that child responsibilities is especially important, and it can keep him busy during times when things are stressful for him. You need to teach replacement behaviors. It's very important to not just tell children to stop doing things, stop hitting, don't take a toy away. You need to teach him ways that he can get what he wants in a positive way, and that's going to take, again, a lot of modeling and some very intentional teaching about what the child can do to have a positive outcome. So, coming up with replacement behaviors is a huge piece of this. You need to plan for social instruction in classrooms. We don't always teach social skills. We just hope that kids come to school knowing how to get along. So it's important to have stories during circle time that are about being friends and how we treat friends. It's important to do some role play during circle times. If some of the kids in your class are struggling with sharing, talk about situations. What would happen if somebody came up and wanted the toy you had? What could you do? Let them take on different roles and do some role playing. They like it, they think it's fun, and they actually learn a lot from doing it. The other thing that really helps sometimes in a classroom when kids have a hard time getting along is using a peer problem solver. A peer problem solver is a person in the classroom who it's a job just like any other classroom job. You have whoever's the weather person or whoever's feeding the pet that week. The problem solver for the day is the person that the kids go to when they have a problem. So if two kids are struggling over a toy, for instance, instead of the teacher having to help them solve all the problems, they go to the peer problem solver. Each kid gets a chance to tell their side of the story, and the problem solver comes up with a solution, and it's really fun to watch, and they come up with really great solutions for the most part. And for some reason, even when they're not great solutions, the kids tend to accept it really well from a peer and move on. And what it also does is it gives time for everyone to kind of calm down. It de-escalates the whole problem in that whole process of telling your side of the story. It makes the kids feel heard, and it kind of gets the teacher out of that role of constantly having to settle arguments and disagreements. So I strongly suggest you try using a problem solver in your class. If you want to talk more about kids who are struggling with their friends, go to purefuninc.com, click on Ask an Expert, and we can talk back and forth. Thanks a lot. Bye.